I got to talk. I got to tell what I feel. I got to talk about my life as I see it.
Assalamu alaikum, this is Brother Yaqub, and this is a reaction to the statement that was made by the missionary in charge on the terrorist incident that occurred in Manhattan. Brother Kareem would like to say a few things on that, which may be controversial. Nevertheless, it is the truth. But before we begin, let's understand this form of terrorism, because it is very important that we understand this form of terrorism. We would have to go back to the terrorist acts of 9/11. And after 9/11, the Patriot Act was passed, which led to the war on terrorism, which led our American troops to go into Iraq and Afghanistan. But analyzing 9/11, you will find that anyone who does research will see that 9/11 was a self-inflicted wound, meaning that the U.S. government was responsible for 9/11. So anything that you see on TV talking about Islamic terrorism, understand that that is a manufactured form of terrorism created to give a negative image of Islam around the world. So with that in mind, now we have the missionary in charge making statements on Fox News. I question even going on Fox News. Fox News is a conservative TV station. That's why you have people like Bill O'Reilly, Hannity, and Combs on there, because it promotes conservatism. A lot of segments on there also bashes Islam. So personally, it would be beneath me to even go on Fox News. But what I found interesting was, while he was talking, at the bottom of the screen it said Muslim versus Muslim. Is that what we stand for? Muslim versus Muslim? That ain't what I stand for. Yeah, he represents the Ahmadiyyat Muslims in America. We also, as African Americans, we have to understand the intentions of the Pakistanis here in America. Are they here for Islam, or are they here for worldly gain? Looking at Pakistan historically, we see that it was founded by a man named Ali Jinnah. And he was against the nonviolent protest that Mahatma Gandhi waged on the British. Why is that important? Martin Luther King used that same nonviolent strategy during the Civil Rights Movement. And so a person that the Ahmadiyya movement look up to, they even have an article of Ali Jinnah on our website, our Islam website. So understand that, because if things were to hit the fan here in America, and let's say martial law was passed, or a law was passed permitting us to promote Islam, what side would the Pakistani take? Would they go with mainstream America? Would they be loyal to the flag, as the comment that was said by the missionary in charge, or would they side with Islam? We also, as African Americans, have to understand that the Pakistani, he fits into the middle class to upper middle class economic bracket here. So they have a lot of financial things at stake if things were to hit the fan and they are no longer allowed here in America. So that is why he made those statements so quickly when they found out that it was a Pakistani person that was responsible for the terrorist incident in Manhattan. So, which we understand totally, because, we understand that, they live in a poor country, and, they want to make some money to support their family and their people, which is okay. But the problem is that, are you going to sacrifice Islam in the process? So, keep those things in mind as African Americans. The statements that was made by the missionary in charge, a lot of African Americans disagree with. So we felt as though we needed to make this video to give, let's say, our version of terrorism. So here's Brother Kareem. Again, some things that he may say may be controversial. You may not like them. Some people may not like them. Some will like it. Nevertheless, it is the truth. So here goes Brother Kareem.
Before I begin getting into the topic at hand, I would like to make a statement that I know that some of the elders may not like some of the comments that we're about to make, even though they're the truth. And specifically, some of the African American elders in particular may feel like that, you know, they have to silence this type of vocal disagreement with the statement that the brother made because he is a person in authority. And I would just say to that when the scriptures talk about the children of Israel, there's no doubt that the children of Israel only refer to African Americans. There's no doubt about it that it's talking about you know, darker people who live within America, because no other people were enslaved for 400 years, carried by ships. No other people could suffer from the curses of lost identity, and the other many curses that's labeled out among the children of Israel in the Bible and the Holy Quran. But saying that, I want to read a couple scriptures where the Creator talks about how He's going to deal with a split within the children of Israel because of their constant disobedience and not wanting to take the message forward like He wanted them to do. So I'm reading from out of the King James Bible. In this chapter in Numbers, it says, "But the men that went up with him said, We be not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we." Now this is talking about when the Creator was going to give the children of Israel a land of Canaan. So He sent some spies in to survey the land. They went into the land and they got fearful, even though God already promised them victory and told them He was going to be with them. They feared the people. In another verse they say, "And there we saw giants, the sons of Anak, which come of the giants, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers, and so we were in their sight." So there was an inferiority complex among the children of Israel. They seen them as giants and said, "Seeing ourselves as grasshoppers." We seen ourselves as grasshoppers compared to them, even though the Creator was on their side and promised them victory. And then a little bit further down it say, "And the children of Israel murmured against Moses and against Aaron. And the whole congregation said unto them, Would God that we have died in the land of Egypt, or God we have died in this wilderness." So basically now the people were frustrated that they had started to get knowledge and get emancipated out of the culture, mind, and land of Pharaoh. So they had started to reach a certain level where they were getting raised up. But now they didn't want to take on the next level of the struggle. They didn't want to continue on to the next step because it was a tough battle that had to come about. And they still had these different inferiority complexes in them that God was trying to destroy out of them, but they didn't want to let go. And then down a little bit more it says, "But your little ones, which He said should be prey," talking about their children, "them will I bring in, and they shall know the land which ye has despised. But as for you, your carcasses they shall fall in this wilderness. And your children shall wander in the wilderness for 40 years and bear your whoredoms, until your carcass be wasted in this wilderness." So your children will have to be raised up, and they gotta bear the burdens of your sins. They gotta bear your whoredoms because you did not want to take the message further, and you felt inferior, and you didn't want to face